A suspect with 72 prior arrests sets a woman on fire on a Chicago train. DOGE continues cutting millions in government waste despite some media outlets claiming the department disbanded. Nigeria combats jihadist gangs that are abducting hundreds of young girls. And are billions of Minnesotans' tax dollars really being funneled to an al-Qaeda-linked terrorist group? We'll get into all that and your quick hits now. What's up, guys? Welcome to the wrap-up, where we break down the biggest stories of the week that you might have missed but need to know. I'm your host, Casey. Our top story this week. Details continue to emerge after 26-year-old Bethany McGee was severely injured in an unprovoked attack while on a Chicago train last week. According to the Daily Wire, the suspect, 50-year-old Lawrence Reed, approached McGee on the train and poured gasoline over her. When she fled, Reed allegedly pursued her, yelled threats at her, and then set her on fire. At the time of this report, McGee, who had no prior interaction with Reed, is currently in critical condition at Stoger Hospital, where she is receiving specialized burn treatment. Reed has a documented history of 72 prior arrests, including 8 felony convictions for offenses such as arson and assault, and was already under electronic monitoring at the time of the incident due to a pending aggravated battery charge. He had pled guilty in 2020 to vandalism on a CTA train at O'Hare International Airport, but was not banned from the transit system. Following last week's attack, he was charged with a federal terrorism offense in U.S. District Court for the Northern District of Illinois, facing a potential life sentence. Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy criticized the Blue City's soft approach to crime, stating, quote, "This would never have happened if this thug had been behind bars. Yet Chicago lets repeat offenders roam the streets." Next up, the Department of Government Efficiency is still up and running, despite recent reports stating the agency had quietly been disbanded. The news agency Reuters originally released an article claiming that DOGE, now called U.S. DOGE Service, no longer existed and OPM absorbed most of its functions. DOGE's X account responded to the report saying, quote, "As usual, this is fake news from Reuters. Just last week, DOGE terminated 78 wasteful contracts and saved taxpayers $335 million. The Daily Caller reported that many people who were working with DOGE were not strictly employees of that agency alone. Of the few people who originally worked for the department, some have been absorbed by different agencies, like the Department of War, to be part of an in-house DOGE team. Recent projects for the agency include working to improve Veterans Affairs services, as well as modernizing the federal student aid system. According to the Daily Caller, the U.S. DOGE service continues to have a central office and staff, which is helping boost the modernization efforts of the agencies. In international news, in an attempt to shield its children from jihadist attacks, Nigeria has shuttered schools across the north amid a wave of abductions that has claimed hundreds of young lives. Breitbart reported that last weekend, 13 young Nigerian women were kidnapped by jihadis of the Islamic State West Africa province. The victims were between the ages of 15 and 20 and were working on farms in the Askira Uba area of Borno State. The girls were reportedly taken while they were harvesting crops. The Askira Uba incident was the latest in a string of abductions and violent attacks over the past few weeks. The largest attack occurred in central Nigeria on Friday, when armed assailants kidnapped over 300 people from St. Mary's Catholic School. According to school officials, 50 of the students abducted from St. Mary's were able to escape from their captors, some with the help of local farmers. And a few days before that, masked gunmen kidnapped 25 students from a girls' boarding school in the state of Kebbi, as well as dozens of worshippers at a church in the rural state of Kwara. In response to the alarming swell of abductions, the Nigerian federal government has now ordered the closure of 47 federal colleges. Up next, a new report reveals that billions of Minnesota taxpayers' dollars have been stolen and funneled through fake nonprofits and shell companies, with some of that money ending up in the hands of al-Qaeda-linked terrorist group al-Shabaab. Much of the fraud has been traced to Minnesota's Somali community, where politically connected fraudsters have allegedly exploited numerous loopholes in the state's welfare system. The Medicaid Housing Stabilization Services program, designed to help seniors, addicts, and the disabled secure housing, quickly became a cash cow for fake providers. Payments rose from $2.6 million to more than just $104 million in just a few years. Operators often ran companies out of dilapidated storefronts, billing for services they never intended to provide. City Journal reported that millions of dollars from the Somali community have been funneled through informal hawala, which are informal clan-based networks tied to al-Shabaab. A Daily Wire investigation exposed a massive fraud within Minnesota's Medicaid autism programs as well. Costs skyrocketed from $3 million in 2018 to $399 million in 2023. Fueled by Somali-run centers that allegedly inflated autism diagnoses and offered kickbacks to parents to enroll children in unnecessary therapy programs. In response to the rampant corruption, U.S. Attorney Joseph Thompson said, quote, "I have spent my career as a fraud prosecutor, and the depth of the fraud in Minnesota takes my breath away." And now it's time for quick hits. Waves of leftist influencers are being exposed as foreigners under X's new location update, showing that the accounts pretending to be American citizens that spew anti-American and Marxist content aren't even from the U.S. A recent report showed that Meta was aware that millions of adult strangers were contacting minors on its sites and that content related to eating disorders, suicide, and child sexual abuse was frequently detected, but rarely removed the content. So, post something about COVID lockdowns, your account is suspended. But soliciting minors? Oh, don't worry, that's just a strike. Seriously, Meta? After numerous complaints about the constant plinking noise from pickleball courts, the city council for the affluent town of Carmel, California, has voted to permanently ban pickleball altogether. In the UK, a retired judge is calling for a heavy tax on pointed kitchen knives in an effort to reduce cases of stabbings. Forks and scissors? You're up next. Trending musician Solomon Ray tops the iTunes Top 100 Christian and Gospel Albums chart last week. Ray is a verified artist on the platform with over 300,000 monthly listeners. The problem? He doesn't exist. The music and his persona are created entirely by AI. That's a wrap for this week. Make sure to like, subscribe, and leave a comment telling us what you thought about these stories. And we'll see you back here next week on The Wrap-Up. Thank you so much for watching this video. In order to keep PragerU videos free, please consider making a tax-deductible donation today.